Hey there, Morbid Maniacs! It's time for another spooky video, a part of Vlogtober. And for tonight's spooky video, I'm going to be talking all about the true story of A Haunting in Connecticut. The story all starts with a couple by the names of Carmen and Al Snedeker, who were looking for a home for their family, as their oldest son Philip had Hodgkin's lymphoma and they needed to be closer to the hospital. On June 30th, 1986, the family moved into a home located in Southington, Connecticut from upstate New York. It made it a lot easier on them because they were a lot closer to the hospital, and before they made this move, it was putting a strain on them going back and forth. If you guys can hear my cat drinking water. This home seemed to be perfect for them and was large enough for their entire family, which included 3 children and a cousin. The family was also struggling financially due to all of the hospital bills, and the home seemed to be a dream. It wasn't until the family actually started moving into the home that they realized that it had a very dark past. While moving items into the basement, the family found multiple embalming tables and tools, including a hoisting apparatus for coffins, a medical gurney, blood drains, and toe tags. They had even claimed to have found a small graveyard in the backyard, as well as eerie photographs from the home's past. It was later found that the home actually served as a funeral home for several decades, known as the Hallahan Funeral Home in the 1920s. Apparently, the family had no idea beforehand that the house that they were moving into was a funeral home, but this did not stop them from moving in, however, even after they found all of these embalming tools and tables. Where the basement was large enough and had enough rooms for their boys, so they moved them down there. And it wasn't long before strange things started happening within the home. Carmen Snedeker was the first person to have noticed missing items in the home, and her children were starting to report seeing strange people within their home. The couple did not believe their children at the time and often chastised them anytime they would bring up seeing a figure or a paranormal spirit. They also began hearing strange voices, the sounds of thousands of birds taking flight, and the sounds of chains pulling coffins up the stairs. Philip had claimed that he had seen several male figures within the home and was also experiencing terrifying visions as well. He claimed that his mother did not believe him. The younger son, Bradley, did spin uncontrollably on a gurney just like they showed in the movie. And if you haven't seen the movie, it is really, really good. I definitely suggest you go and check it out. It's really creepy. But there is a scene in this movie where the younger brother the oldest one spins him around uncontrollably on a gurney. It actually sounds like kind of fun to me. At the time, Philip, who was going through a radiation treatment, started experiencing a drastic personality change. He grew to be more distant and angry. He began writing poetry with necrophiliac themes, and during one episode attacked his cousin with the intention of raping her. His family at which point had him arrested and taken in for an evaluation, where he was then pronounced a schizophrenic. He was then removed from the house and seemed to be getting better upon returning. But apparently Carmen and her niece were repeatedly brutally raped, and acts of sodomy were performed on her husband by unseen forces. She also had had an experience where she was mopping the kitchen floor, and the water of which she was mopping the kitchen floor turned a bright red color. And another experience where she was taking a shower and the shower curtain had completely wrapped itself around her, almost smothering her, and she could not push it off. Music would play from out of nowhere, objects would move around by themselves, and they would often get the smells of rotting and decaying flesh. They even said that the temperature in certain rooms within the home would change. And Carmen had even seen 2 apparitions within the house. She claimed that one of these entities was a very tall spirit with high cheekbones, long black hair, and black eyes. The other entity was a man with white hair and white eyes, wearing a pinstriped tuxedo and whose feet were constantly in motion. It was then that Carmen had decided that enough was enough, and she had called in famous demonologist / paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The investigators moved into the home for a few weeks to investigate. Ed and Lorraine claimed to have seen the damage that this negative energy within the home and the toll that it was taking on this family. When several of their group members were slapped, beaten, pushed, and slammed into the floor. Further investigation into the history of the home later discovered that one of the undertakers was found guilty for necrophilia. Lorraine had also stated that Carmen's niece was laying in the bed once and the covers just levitated off of her all by themselves. Carmen also had rosary beads in her hand on one occasion, and these rosary beads seemed to have pulled themselves apart in her hand and fell to the floor. The Warrens decided that this home needed an exorcism, and at this point called in a priest. At which point they had stated that they had banished the negative energy and that it was safe to return. Carmen Snedeker said that it had took her a while to fully be able to trust her son again. But it was not long after that he had passed away due to a reoccurrence of cancer in January of 2012. The Snedeker family lived within this home for 2 years after it was exorcised, then moved to Tennessee. Children are now grown and live on their own, and Carmen is now a spiritual advisor. According to multiple sources of people who had lived in the home before and prior to the Snedeker family moving out, some of them state that they did not have any paranormal experiences whatsoever and also had no idea that the home was even a former funeral home. While some claim to have experienced a few odd occurrences, but nothing as bad as what the Snedekers did. The upstairs neighbor apparently had lived up there while this whole thing was going on with no paranormal experiences at all. And of course, this has caused this whole entire story to become very controversial as to whether or not the story is actually true or not. The story has been on countless TV shows, as well as having its own movie, A Haunting in Connecticut. So there was the true story of A Haunting in Connecticut. What do you guys think of this whole thing? I personally find it to be a very creepy story. Whether or not it's true or not, the movie always freaked me out, and it was always one of my favorites. Most of Ed and Lorraine's cases are always some of my favorites for some reason. I know what you guys think, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a big ol' thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and become Morbid Maniac. And if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Melanie, and I upload creepy paranormal content all throughout the year, 24/7. But for the month of October, I will be posting 31 creepy videos to be exact, just for your enjoyment. So be sure to stick around so you don't miss any of that. And I will see you guys in my next video.